Hey Mike, what are you up to today?
I'm just playing my Vita. I'm reading about the latest on import gaming and crying helplessly into the only thing I still have left from Earth. you know, just a normal Tuesday.
I'm glad to see you still have that productive spirit. It's not Tuesday. Do you know what month it is?
Of course, it's the scary one right before the stuffings and avoid all Walmart's one. Wait a second. Holy crap, my gobbledar's at a level 3 giblet. And that means we're past the one where every Twitter handle is a spooky pun. And that also means Thanksgiving's right around the corner. I've got to prepare.
Yeah, I just changed my Twitter name from Rububin back to Reuburger. Last year it was Reuben Booburger. I'm running out of places to put the boo.
Well, I looked all around and all I could find is this space soup. I mean, it's got our faces on it, so that's pretty cool.
Oh, jeez, man. What even is that?
Well, according to the label, it's just vegetables and chunks of cloned Mike Krows and Reuburgers. Seems pretty legit.
But chunks?
And if they're anything like the Mike Krows and Reuburgers I know, they're more like hunks. Am I right?
You shouldn't eat that.
Yeah, you're probably right. I mean, I did already down 4 cans earlier, but I probably should save one back for an emergency. It is the season of Space Quake and Space NATOs, and I gotta stay prepared. While I was looking around, I also found this. It's a hard hat from a guy named Minoru Watanabe. It says, "Hugs and kisses, when you gonna buy my book?" I'm sure he means well. But most importantly, I did find this. A copy of Zettai Zetsumei Toshi 3 for the PSP. That's pretty convenient.
Wait a sec, did you just say you're about to review a PSP game? How low can you go, man? Next you'll say you're gonna review a Switch game. That's my territory. It's just it's on my to-do list. I just probably won't do it.
Don't worry about it. I know you're busy with Earth stuff.
Yeah, Earth stuff.
Looks like it's up to Mike Krow to prove we still got what it takes to make it in this spacesuit. Hey everybody, if you made it this far, why don't you strap yourself in, put on your safety helmet, and let's enjoy the emulation stylings of Zettai Zetsumei Toshi 3 for the PlayStation Portable, aka Disaster Report 3, aka Raw Danger 2. Yeah.
完璧
Zettai Zetsumei Toshi 3, 壊れゆく街と彼女の歌 is a PSP exclusive that came out only in Japan on April 23rd, 2009. The actual meaning of the title is Desperate City 3, Damaged Town, and Her Song. As mentioned earlier, it's the third in the series of the Disaster Report games. Disaster Report, Raw Danger. And if I had to give this one a title for its American release, I'd say Raw Report. But then again, I guess GameStop might not want to put it in the front of their stores. If you don't know anything about the Disaster Report series, it's all about getting the hell out of the way. Like out of the way of falling ceilings, falling buses, falling cars. I personally have only played a little bit of the first Disaster Report on PlayStation 2, and I mainly remember it being clunky and poorly voice acted, but at the same time enjoyable in its bargain bin charm. As for who will be avoiding said falling things, there are 2 characters you can choose from in this entry. Both have their pluses and their minuses. Naoki Kosa is a 19-year-old college student that's pretty confident in his physical ability, but weak when it comes to stress. So basically, he's a strong Japanese wiener.
Nobody is as strong as the American wiener.
Just look at how much of a wiener he is. I mean, the guy's just dead. Hell, if he was a Star-Spangled Banner boy, he'd whip up a vlog and make some money off of it. America. It's just like that famous Albert Einstein quote says, "In the middle of dead people lies a photo opportunity."
I don't think that's right, but I might be too lazy to check.
So basically, Naoki is quick to pull himself up ledges, but freaks out about every little thing. The next fist shaker that we have to choose from is Rina Kimura, an 18-year-old college student. Rina is the opposite side of the spectrum. She says dead bodies? Hell, bring them on. Bring on 10, 20, 100. But can you please leave the ledges at home? Honestly, I can't blame her. I hate ledges too. Regardless of who you choose, one will be on the bus bound for Central Island, a fictional man-made island city in Japan, on their way to start a new college life. And the game paints a picturesque image of that anticipation. The sun wakes you from a light sleep. You see birds fly as you approach the tunnel. And then the bus crashes and everyone dies. Just a normal Tuesday for Central Island. When you awaken, you somehow manage to be the only one that didn't get slammed into the side of the bus, and this is where the game starts. As you crawl towards the light, your character calmly takes note of the situation. Once you get off the magic death bus, the game really starts. And now it's a mad dash to figure out how to get off the island, and as far away as possible from your looming financial college debt and useless degree. As you travel across the island constructed by Hazuki Construction, you encounter all kinds of disasters, both natural and man-made. Like this guy. Those are killing eyes if I ever saw them. Honestly, kind of looks like you do sometimes there, Reuben.
What are you implying?
But not everyone you meet is a low-resolution killer, like Saki Honjo, who quit her job as a nurse to pursue her ultimate goal of being a singer. It's almost as bad as leaving your stable full-time job to become a YouTuber nowadays. Actually, her songs are pretty good. I guess it's not really Saki's songs, but rather Mai Ida's. They plug her in an insert in the box. She's a singer-songwriter that's part of the music-producing group Granzella Music, and you can follow her on Twitter if you feel so inclined. Like I said, the songs are pretty good. But it's kind of weird when they show up in the game. When the pre-rendered video starts, it's dead quiet, and then suddenly the sound of a whole band comes playing out of her voice. It's like they spent all the money they could on the song, and couldn't afford a copy of 300 spectacular sound effects to fill in the gaps of silence. And then there's Ayumi Hazuki, who's an unassuming, timid high school student that happens to be the daughter of the president of Hazuki Construction. There are only really a few other main characters in the game, like Keisuke Hikawa,
Ishizawa.
Yoichi Ishizawa, a professor who has the uncanny ability to fly. And then this guy, Nobuteru Morita, the chairman of the Morita Group and the main proponent of the development of Central Island. Also, the guy who looks like he had the least amount of time spent on him. They went through all the trouble to make the other characters look pretty damn good. But then they only added a few extra polygons to this guy to make him only slightly better than the standard NPC.
Ah, would you please stop showing that? Oh my god.
I'm sure you're saying to yourself right now, my Krow, you got death buses, fire nados, and spooky-eyed sprites? That's awesome, but what's the gameplay like? Well, let me show you. Really, for a game that appears to be a romp in the never-ending destruction of a city around you, it's actually pretty slow. Sure, there might be some quick quake moment that requires you to squat down so you don't crack your head on the pavement, or a brief intense tight walk of a steel beam. But for the most part, you'll find yourself just walking around more than you will running from exploding cars. Any action for Naoki and Nina is usually over pretty quick and not terribly memorable, and you will no doubt die first try. For the most part, all the action in the game is scripted, though there are a few spots where things will fall randomly onto the ground. So the first time you encounter it, it feels exciting, and it feels like you have to rush to get out of danger, but that usually results in dying and having to restart. But then when you have a second go, it really takes away from the experience, because the randomness you expect of a disaster becomes nothing more than expecting a pattern, and any deaths after that pull further away from the experience. That being said, the deaths are pretty comical, especially this one. Damn, Japanese street thugs are brutal. Which brings me to my next point. In times of crisis, there are other dangers aside from the most obvious. And this game attempts to take that to the 4.3-inch screen. But just like Bill Murray, they are lost in translation. Up in the top left of the screen is an HP and stress bar. If you get too stressed out, you become slower and you don't react as well. On top of this, your overall health bar is lowered little by little as stress builds up. You can use items to reduce your stress and give you health, but overall it doesn't really matter, because like I was saying earlier, any stress contributing factor is over pretty quick. And on top of that, the negative effects are pretty much null and void, because right after an event, there will be a blue bench somewhere close. And these are where you take a moment from the intense action and save the game. Hold on guys, hold on. I know you're all being kidnapped and stuff, but feeling pretty tired, so I'm gonna take a quick break on this bench and I'll get back to you later. And like all benches in the real world, they heal the body and mind after a cool sigh. Not that great. Blue benches are everywhere in this game, so if you somehow die due to stress playing it, it's because you actually died due to stress playing it. The blue bench is so important it might as well be another character. Hell, even Saki Honjo talks about it in one of her songs. Benches truly are lifesavers. Tell us a time a bench saved your life in the comments below, and leave a like if you're sitting on one right now. Send Dogecoins if you want to help spread the word of the Church of Blue Bench. My life has changed since I have played this game.
What are you talking about? You live in space, alone, with no way out.
After seeing the way of bench, I am now a true believer in its powers.
I'm a little worried, man. Are you alright?
Excuse me, sir. Do you have a moment to talk about the power of bench? Please take this free DVD and think about it. There's another factor that affects your stress, and that is your personality trait. Throughout the game, you're given moments where you can choose a pre-written response to dialogue in the story. Depending on your response, you can change your personality trait to 3 different ones. Each characterize how well you heal and how well you respond to stress. Basically, Passionate takes medium stress in times of crisis and when walking around in an unknown area. Food also has an average effect on their health, but hearing Saki's song has the greatest effect. While a calm person isn't much affected by stress, they also don't get much out of food or listening to her song. They're pretty much someone who has no joy in life, or someone who's worked years in fast food at McDonald's. And the coward, aka uncooked sausage type, can't handle any stress and deals best when food is involved. We also get little out of Saki's song. How well you deal with stress or enjoy food aren't the only things affected by your selection. There are additional hidden stats in this game that help to determine the ending. Though ultimately the endings are only slightly different, which one you get all boils down to how well Ayumi or Saki likes you. Some of the choices you make in the dialogue will affect how the girls see you. If you say something they like, they'll get closer to you on the bench. This game is also practice for trying to feel out people in real life, so you can manipulate them later. If you want to know more about that, you can follow most big YouTubers. Well, maybe not. The personality you adopt also seems pretty irrelevant when it comes to actual gameplay. Sure, they play a part in getting a certain ending in the game, but once again, benches are so frequent that you never really have to stop and listen to a song, use a med pack, or even try and eat. I don't know if I'm missing a harder mode or not, but all of these gameplay mechanics didn't mean much on my playthrough. But I think the real reason they used it was for another feature of this game: multiplayer. Yes, that's right, just like Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker, you can play missions ad hoc with up to 4 players. It's pretty much the same basic mission-based gameplay style, but without the guns, though there's enough calorie mate in both to make up for that. Since Reuben isn't keen on the PSP, I actually went ahead and played with myself for this review.
Well, I would have at least watched it if you asked.
Is this a doge off? Cause you can't out-doge me.
Well, Mike, we'll just let the viewers decide that. Leave a comment below to vote for who doges the best. Winner gets to feel great for dredging up an old meme from 2013.
To perform this amazing feat, I used my hack PS TV and another PSP. So if you have both, then you too can play Zettai Zetsumei Toshi 3 with yourself and record it. While playing the main story, you'll earn additional multiplayer quests to play with other people. And they're pretty much what you do in the main story, but with some added stuff, like you're suddenly a magnet for holes, and to get you out you need the help of other players. And here the seldomly used Give To feature can be used to help out other players with recovery items. In this part of the game it makes sense as there's no benches to bring you back to sanity. It's also where all the costume collecting you did in the main game can really be used. You can use them in story mode, but here's where you can show them off to your friends. And they got everybody covered. Japan, Europe, America, and of course, my personal favorite, China. There's also a hidden costume. Start with glasses, add China shoes, put on the China hat, and finish with the raincoat. And bam! You got Juan from the Harvest Moon series. But this Juan won't be chased by the police. But he really should be, since most of the stuff you pick up all over the broken down city is some kind of clothing, gloves, hats, shoes, or costumes. The game goes out of its way to teach you that if you take something from an abandoned store, you should leave a note or money. But clothes? They're free game. But the real question is, why aren't there people in these clothes? Well, some of these outfits, I can see why they were abandoned. Like this one. I don't know what he did to make his crotch into that shape, but man, that sure must have been painful. Aside from costumes that show off your rounded kin section.
完璧.
There are other special costumes like this blue-haired one, which is from a game conveniently advertised via an insert in the case. Narizoko nai eiyu tan, Taiyo Totsuki no Monogatari. I have no idea what it's about, but I can tell you this. I'm sure Breath of Fire did it better. While you're dodging fire and ducking smoke, you'll come across another pointless collectathon item. Compasses. Man, all this game is clothes, compasses, and Central Island. I think these are something else that's probably more just for multiplayer. There isn't one moment in the game where you actually look at your compass to use it as a compass. I mean, I just use mine as a symbol of my perpetual shame in myself. Seriously, there's even a compass for the official Zettai Zetsumei Toshi 3 PSP grip. That's something else. Speaking of mechanics that you don't need to use to beat this game, if you get certain items, you can actually combine them to get a better one. Like this gas mask with filter. Now you have a functioning gas mask. Cool. I think this does actually help with the stress levels when you accidentally run into some smoke. You can even break them back down if you feel so inclined. Combining would have been a really neat mechanic to use in an emergency survival environment. Something like you'd find in the Lost and Blue series would have been great, but not here. To be honest, these just seem pointless. Speaking of the game environment, I thought it looked really good. I mean, as good as a destroyed city can look. It definitely made me wish I could do some more random exploring and item crafting, so I could survive longer in this catastrophic disaster. Now the NPCs, they might need some work. They all look like the character designer's greatest inspiration must have been Slender Man. I also never knew that Central Island was a hot spot for Japanese twins. I get it, you know? The game didn't have the highest budget. There's even a scene where they couldn't even afford to hire enough NPCs, so they just put up 2D plain people. You know, I hate that we live in a world where 3D models' jobs are being taken away by 2D planes. They may be a single plane, but they're faceless to me. Now it's time to talk about my biggest complaint with this game. It's something that needs to be addressed. You'll notice a pattern in this game quite quick as you start playing. Move a little bit, read a manual. Pick up something, read a manual. Something happens, read a manual. The game is constantly interrupted by these crisis manuals. It isn't even a 1 or 2 time thing. It's constant. Every cutscene begins or ends with asking you to read multiple manuals. Sometimes it can be up to 4 manuals, maybe even more. Like, hey, this building is about to fall on you. So here's a manual about what to do about buildings that are going to fall on you. I imagine they were trying to somehow prepare the player for action they were about to embark on, but there's so many that if you stop and read them all, which I did, it really takes away from the moment in the game. They really should be treated as all other reading material in the game. If you want to read it, you go into the main menu, find it, and read it. It's really the only thing that I find off-putting about this game. But my Krow, what's with all the manuals to begin with? Well, I'll tell you, viewer son, it's because of this guy, a Mr. Minoru Watanabe, self-proclaimed disaster preparedness and crisis management journalist. I had to look into the guy because anybody with that brilliant of a mustache, they're up to no good. As soon as you flip over the box, you'll see this guy's face. And if you look in the instruction booklet, he's there too. And on this website, and this website. It turns out Mr. Watanabe is actually a disaster consultant and expert in calamity. He's been the supervising director on various books and even video games. He was on Zettai Zetsumei Toshi 3 and even the 4th one. Wow, that's a lot of calamity. And for a manga series called Kanojo o Mamoru 51の方法 Tokai de Jishin ga okotta hi, which translates to 51 ways to protect your girlfriend, the day an earthquake hit this city. But I wonder if anyone reading a manga titled that really needs to worry about a girlfriend. He's even written a couple books/manuals himself, and they're going for insane prices. Like 9 yen, 9 whole yen. Pretty cool. If he's making that kind of money, I'm kind of worried about him. But Minori-san is so baller that I'm sure his sponsorship with Calorie Mate more than makes up for it. Damn, I wish we could get one. I ultimately liked the story of Zettai Zetsumei Toshi 3 more than the actual gameplay. But the gameplay was pretty fun. There's only one spot that I really found frustrating, and I think it's mainly due to my own stupidity. I hope in the next game they actually explore more of the survival aspects of a disaster, though the current way they do it might be more true to life. Lots of walking and waiting to be rescued. I assume, I don't know. I know I didn't really go into the actual story much, and that's because I didn't really want to give too much away. It's good, and there's lots of twists and turns that make you want to get to the next part of the story. And on top of that, there's multiple endings, although they're not that different from each other. I think I'm just a little bit disappointed in how, despite proclaiming itself as a survival action adventure, the survival part was pretty limited. But I would still recommend it to anyone who owns a PSP. It's just that good. Or you can try your luck on the fourth one coming out in the US next March. And as a kind of a thought to leave you with, it's kind of weird where we're at in gaming now. While researching this game, I found the official website, but it's not where you think. It looks like it was abandoned quite some time ago, and the only remains are located in the Wayback Machine. Only the structure of the website's really there, and the walls are nothing but broken images. It's like ancient ruins now. Looking up old websites made me realize something. Website URLs are like plots of land. You can have a house built there and maintain it forever, or you can tear it down and create a seldomly updated website about gambling. Though that new logo is pretty tight. I'm glad we survived that game. And you know, it wasn't as bad as I was thinking it was going to be. It even gave me a little more faith in the PSP.
Yeah, I never knew compasses could be so much fun. Plus, I love costumes.
Wait, isn't that Zanzar?
Yeah, I managed to skin and kill him before they all left Space Asylum. Looks pretty good on me, doesn't it?
Hey, look, we got a letter here from Calorie Mate. Let's open it up and see what they say. Dear Mike Krow and Reuburger, we've heard through Mr. Minori Watanabe, self-proclaimed disaster preparedness and crisis management journalist, that you have expressed interest in being sponsored by our company. We've seen your show and we would like to send a Calorie Mate for every view you got on your last video. Holy crap.
Wow, does this mean we've made it? I mean, it's not the Dollar Shave Club or Wix, but we're on our way to get down, Crowzilla.
Hold on, there's a little bit more. But we are deeply concerned with Booger's affiliation with the hot dog industry and have instead decided to send you one Dogecoin. I guess that's this. Because just like the Dogecoin, you will never be worth anything. Peace out, Calorie Mate. Well, that got a little dark there at the end, but at least we got something. So, what's this about hot dogs?
Not sure.
I wonder too. Well, you know what? There's actually a little bit more here. P.S. Susan said, I hope you're enjoying the space soup. Well, that's sweet of Susan. And do you know who else is sweet? You, the viewer at home. Because if you made it this far, then you gotta be pretty sweet. I appreciate it, and you're helping us get closer to getting off this space asylum. This is Mike Krow, and thank you for watching. And make sure you fill your life full of space soup. I'll see you later.
Thanks for watching, folks. Does nobody care that I killed Zanzar?
Not that great.